Welcome to my newest project, stair tread and riser installation. And this is probably going to be a two-part video, just so you know. The first part is going to be the introduction, where we're going to go over both the tools and the materials needed to complete this project. I hope to have a comprehensive list with a few little details, but at least if someone was about to take on this project, they would be able to do it knowing that they're going into it ready to go, not having to make additional trips. They'll be able to map it out, etc. So let's get right into this. I don't think I need an introduction. Most of you know me by now. But like I said, we're just going to get right into it. First thing we're going to cover is safety equipment. First and foremost on the safety equipment is safety glasses, safety goggles. You're using power tools, you're using hand tools. You should always have safety glasses or safety goggles on, some sort of eye protection. Next thing we're going to look at are dust masks. We're going to be cutting wood. It's good to have a dust mask on. Keep those particles out of your lungs. You don't need to wear it throughout the entire project, but at least when you're cutting or in the room that you're cutting the wood. And then also we're going to say gloves. Gloves may or may not be viewed as safety equipment, but we're going to be hitting a chisel with a hammer. A little slip could, cause your hands just to look really bad. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you may most likely have a job that you're going to be going to. If your job's like mine, I own a financial planning practice. I don't need to be sitting in front of clients who are thinking about, or potential clients sitting and thinking about investing money with me and have my hands all beat up. So safety equipment, pretty simple. The next thing we're going to look at is this saw. I purchased this saw at Harbor Freight. It is a 12-inch blade, compound, double bevel sliding miter saw. So I just want to touch on it real quick. I purchased this, like I said, at Harbor Freight. I think I paid around $129 for it. It was on sale, plus a coupon, President's Day, I think, coupon. A real bargain. Seems to be doing the job really well for what I've used it for. I don't know how it would hold up on the professional level. Maybe fine. I just don't know. It's not my thing. But as I said, it slides, and that's pretty much the only function you need for this specific job. You don't need the compound, I don't think, or anything. So I already had the stand. It was with my other saw, which is a 10-inch blade that didn't slide. You don't want to be using something like that on this job. The blade won't be wide enough to get through the wood. You'll end up having to flip the wood. And when you're using wood or doing a project that has such expensive pieces, anywhere between $50 and I believe $80 or $90 per tread, you want to get it done. You want to get it done right. Risers, same thing. You don't want to have to be, if your saw's not wide enough to cut the riser properly, you don't want to use it. So this does the job great. The other item, although it's covered up, is the table saw. It's got a lot of different things on it we're going to go over. By the end of this, it should probably be all cleared off. But both do-it-yourselfer pieces of equipment that we should all be familiar with. And I'll just move on from there to say the next piece of equipment I'll cover is going to be just a simple circular saw. Not really much to this, just a standard ripping blade on there. The test that we're going to put that saw to is to cut off the bull nose on the existing stair treads. So we don't need a clean cut, we don't need a pretty cut. Whatever type of blade you have that's going to cut it quickly is going to be the one you want. And the next power tool, and perhaps the last one in this job, is going to be this. This is just a multi-purpose oscillating tool. It's probably pretty inexpensive. I think I got this for Christmas for my mother one year. Never really figured out any good uses for it until this job, and I was really glad I had it. I'm sanding some spots that we'll cover in a little bit or on the next video at this angle, and it just really worked out very nicely. So Those are the power tools. Those are the ones you really need your safety glasses for, but it's always good to keep those on the whole time. This, I guess this is a power tool also. This is a battery, Ryobi battery-powered Airstrike finish nail gun. Great, love it. It's just makes so many jobs so much easier. It's got a lot of different adjustments on it and such that I really haven't gotten into. They've been beyond the scope of my projects and just haven't touched them or messed with them. For right now, it holds the nails I need for the jobs I've been doing, and we're going to use it today to work on this stair project, and we'll get to that as with everything else. An extension cord, whether it's the circular saw or the oscillating tool, there's a lot of stairs. They have short cords. You're going to need an extension cord to get you through the project. We're going to have a mallet, rubber mallet. Picked this up at Harbor Freight. I had a rubber mallet, but I thought this one was really fancy, which appeals to me. But in either case, you're going to need this. We want a nice tight fit on our stair treads. So with that nice tight fit, you're going to need a decent rubber mallet to put them into place. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to hurt your hands or whatever you're trying to use to put those into place. A speed square, a square of some sort is very important. It could be a sliding square, it could be a speed square. I like the speed square because as is built into its name, the speed. I've got a tool for measuring angles. Now, you could use a lot of different tools for measuring angles. In this project, most people might use a Stair Doctor or some sort of tool. There's a variety of different ones that do with the Stair Doctor. That's a name brand, I believe, or name of a tool that people use. And it's so that you get the proper angles on the sides of your steps. Most homes are not square. Most buildings are not square. This house is pretty square. It's built by a company that pre-builds all of the walls, all the roof pieces. They pre-build them all in a factory and they bring them to the property and they assemble them as if they were a stick-built house, but not. And with a stick-built house, you're going to have, in most cases, I believe, much greater degree of issues with level and angles, where this house is very square. So I just went with this. I didn't want to pay for a Stair Doctor, a tool that I probably would only use once in my life. I love tools, love having the opportunity to buy and take any opportunity I can. But there's a tool that's going to cost me probably $100 and I'll never use it again. And quite frankly, I just didn't think I needed it. So other than that, the only other real tool will be the, couple more here. We have a chisel and hammer. Now I'm using a ball peen hammer. This is a construction job. You're probably going to have a claw hammer, but this is the one I grabbed, and works fine for the job. A chisel, a DeWalt chisel. I like the chisel. I could probably get one a lot cheaper at a place like Harbor Freight. I don't know what it costs, but I'm sure I could because it's DeWalt. It's a big name. But I like it. It's got the chisel end on the front, which is nice, which you would hit here, but it's also got the chisel edge there and a flat end here. So it makes a really nice tool for the job because you can keep your fingers out of the way and slipping or slippage is much less of an issue. So moving right along, I have this caulk gun. I picked this up at Home Depot. I had a caulking gun, but I picked this one up because I went with the larger caulk tubes. I went with Loctite Premium. It's a urethane or polyurethane based, which you should use as opposed to a water-based product. And on this specific job anyway. So I went with the big tubes, and I think it saved me quite a bit of money. I went through the math, and if I bought the 10-ounce tubes, it would have come to about 43 cents an ounce, with these larger tubes, it came to about, I think 26 cents per ounce. And the bottom line was, if I went with the 10-ounce tubes, it would have cost about $69 for 15 tubes, including tax, in my state. By going with the larger tubes, I was able to get only 5, because they're about 3 times the size. And even after including the cost of a new gun, which was $9.99, I was able to save almost $20. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I get a new tool out of it. And that's always nice. So, now this stuff, certain things might not be needed for every project, and I'm going to cover a couple of things. These were needed for my project, but it's based on the type of stair risers I chose. For one, or the kind of stair risers I had in place. So first thing we'll look at is I needed some drywall mud, basically, rapid coat, inexpensive, you can get it anywhere, in a small spatula or spreader. We'll get to where I use that when we get to the job. But the next thing that I want to look at is the paint. I had to paint the risers, and I'm just going to switch sides here. These risers, as I said, I went with white. And they came, I actually ordered these. These came from the factory that the treads came from, primed, and all you had to do was cut the sides. The height was already correct. I hadn't really debated on purchasing these because they were, I thought, very expensive. For 16 of them, it was $188. And it turns out from what I can see, it's a piece of underlayment. Really just a really inexpensive piece of wood. And for 16 of them, 1 or 2 sheets of plywood, I haven't done the math, or 1 or 2 sheets of wood underlayment would have done the job. 2 sheets would have cost roughly $16, and as opposed to $188. Saved me quite a bit of money, just as the Loctite in the larger tube saved me money. Between those 2 items, I saved about $20, I said, on the caulk, even including the gun, and I could have saved probably another $173 if I had just cut these myself out of a piece of wood underlayment like this that I just have laying around in my garage. Actually, this is red oak, and it still would have been quite a bit cheaper. Okay, so paint it. I put the paint on. I did 4 coats. I wanted a nice coverage on there, and I wanted to pick a paint that would be easy to clean. You can pick the one you want, but you know, these things are going to get scuffed. It's part of having white risers. It was one of the reasons it took me so long to decide on it, but we're going to have a runner down there when it's all said and done. So I'm going to just set that aside, and I'm going to get to, well, I covered the paint. The tape, I bought a pack of rolls. I went with the, I think these are 1.5 inch rolls, and contractor pack. Saved a little bit of money doing it that way. I have a lot of projects going on all the time, so I'll get through this. I do know when it comes to this type of tape, just like masking tape, or at least it's been my experience, that it doesn't always last forever. It gets old, and it's not in climate control. It's out in your garage. It kind of gets brittle. You try to take a piece off, and it just breaks. You get 3 or 4 inches off, and it tears sideways. So I try not to buy more than I'm going to need at any given time. But like I said, I have a few different things going on, and I will cover one more item before I get to the tread, or a couple more items actually. Just a sanding square or block that you can get from your local hardware store. I think this one came from Home Depot. This is a wooden dowel, 1-inch wooden dowel. And we're going to get to why I needed this and why you may need it when we get back into the house and are closer to the project. But this came in really handy. I needed a paint tray and a small roller to put the paint on. I went with the foam. I wanted a nice smooth finish, and at the same time, this one was wide enough to almost cover the entire riser. If I had to do over again, I might go just a little bit bigger. If there is such a thing, I'm not really sure. And then last is the riser itself. I have tape on here. I make it a habit when I'm cutting wood, even though I believe I've gotten the right blade on there, on that circular saw. I'm sorry, miter saw. I like to make it a habit of taping off any place I'm going to cut. It really cuts down on splintering, cracking, gives you a really nice edge. On this piece of wood, on this tread, I will say it took me some time to decide if I wanted to go with this regular bullnose or if I wanted to go with the ones that come down and just cover your existing stair tread. Now, the nice things about those ones that just cover it is that there's no cutting off of the existing bullnose. So, you know, it saves you a little bit of time. Cutting off the bullnose didn't take me forever, but it probably took me, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it was. By using the other ones that sit right over it, what they do is they have a much thicker riser. So you would use a riser that came out as thick as your existing bullnose, which, as you can see, can be a pretty big area. It's probably going to be, say, a 3/4 inch piece of plywood or whatever. It really brings your step out far, and I didn't want that. I wanted to make sure I had a look that made it look like my stairs were originally built like this. I didn't want it to look like a remodel or redo. It's just, you know, how I would want to do any project. I like it to look like it's native to the place, the house, whatever you're doing. So I think that's everything. I believe I covered everything. The table saw here is cleared up. For a project like this where I'm cutting, again, expensive wood, I use a tape on here to cover the entire table saw. This is old, might be dinged up. I don't want the dings in this table to affect the finish on my wood. So this tape is the same tape I use to cover my my silk screening tables. So it comes in rolls in various widths, and this specific one in this case was about 18-inch widths. Cover this up, it gives it a perfect, as good as new surface to be working on. And you don't really need this tool for a whole lot, but it's good to have in this job. And I think that's, again, really it. I don't want to go any further because we're going to be touching on these tools as we do the project. But again, this should have made it so that after watching this video, someone could start the project and go from start to finish without having to stop and purchase things, look for things, whatever that happens to be. So until part 2, the actual stair, tread, and riser installation, I hope you have a terrific day, and I'll see you back really soon.